Now you are visible.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Go on.
Good
Go on.
afternoon to the good afternoon to all the participants. I'm very much delighted and I'm very much happy to be a part of this panel discussion, the public debate on the national education policy. And first of all, to begin, I must congratulate the Government Law College Villupuram for all the innovative events and the initiatives you are taking. For the past 1 month, I'm observing everything. And the recent events, for example, all the events, the public debate and then the panel discussion on the environmental impact assessment, the international, the Elephant Day, virtual seminar, everything. Really, it's a great initiative we are taking. And my topic for today's session is National Education Policy 2020 and legal education. So when we look into this topic, we must understand legal education is one of the professional education, as we all know very well. As many of the law students and the participants of the session, it is a very important, relevant topic which has to be addressed. So that's the reason I chose this topic to be addressed. So the national education policies is a policies for the schools and the higher education proposed by the Government of India, Ministry of Education, and Education Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal. And actually, I welcome this national education policy because I see this national education policy 2020 as a better thing than the before. It is really better than the before. So one thing I want to say on this beginning, I want to comment one thing very clear, that the national education policy has not specifically mentioned anything about the legal education. It has given importance, views, and then the perspective how the education has to be groomed to the professional education skills. When we connect the professional education skills, we can take into consideration the health education, the medicine, and then the technical educations, and then the agriculture universities, you can take it. And then you can also take it the other health science universities, and then all the legal institutions, and then the agricultural universities, everything comes in this perspective. So we have to divide it into two subcategories, very, very clear. The education in discipline and education in practice. So education and discipline, they are suggesting this, education and discipline and education in practice. And then they are also giving more importance to the multidisciplinary perspective, multidisciplinary approach and the holistic approach towards the legal education. So education and discipline, your education at the college days is the education and discipline. And education and practice is the court practice. In the legal education perspective, I am talking this on this topic. So educational practice, your assignments, your day-to-day classes, and then your examinations, and then your dissemination of your knowledge in the college days, and then your moot courts, and then etc., all the virtual seminars, online events, and then your all the academic perspective things will be discussed on this. And then the educational practice is the court procedures, and then when after pursuing your legal degree, how you are going to start your profession, and then what kind of a professional skills you have, what kind of advocacy skills you have, how you are going to face this profession, how you are going to face the challenges in the practice, and then how you are going to build your career. This is the educational practice. So I always have confidence on my faculties, my professors, and my Indian education system. Because Indian education system, I transparently comment on anything. I will never fear for anything. I will tell very clear. Only thing in which we are lagging is, even the faculties, even the professors in India, only one thing they are lagging is research and the innovation. These 2 points is the only thing they are lacking. How the research can be empowered? Publications, writing articles, and then these kind of discussions. These kind of discussions will lead us to a lot of deliberations and the dissemination of knowledge. And this is very, very important. So this connects with the education and discipline. So what I feel, both the education and discipline and both the education and practice, which suggested by the national education policy, is always centric in the law school. That's the reason I'm telling education and discipline, education and practice, both must be acquired in the law school itself. So in this area, I want to comment one important point, the relationship between the bar and the bench and the law school. So the very important point is, we need to have a strong relationship with the bar, bench and the law school. Because bar and bench, okay, fine, bar and bench, court, the advocates are the bar, and then the bench is the judges, and then the education, and then the law school. So we want to build a strong connectivity with the bar, bench, and the law school. And this kind of a bar, bench, and law school centric learning must be framed in India. That is very, very important. Our professors, our faculties, everyone, they have to move towards innovation, adopting technology, research, and all these kind of activities has to be come up with them. And they have to constantly, they have to groom them, and then they have to constantly, they have to focus on these areas. Because I always say my Indian education system, especially the legal education, is very strong. They can give tough competition to the Western countries, to the European countries, to the America. I have this confidence very clear, because only thing which we are lagging and only thing the European and then the Western and then the other nations in the Western world, how they are dominating is the research. That is very, very important. And the innovation and the technology adoption. So that's the reason I'm telling this pandemic is the right period and the right time. I have faced, I am observed, and then I have also exposed myself to various events. And then now we are We have no idea, we have no other option, and we are adopting all the technologies. So slowly we are moving towards innovation, slowly we are moving towards technology, so slowly we are moving towards all the adaptation of technology and etc., 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 all the areas, and we are exploring the unexplored. We are reaching the unreached. So that's the reason these kind of situation is giving us great lessons. And then the main focus what they are giving is this critical and interdisciplinary learning. Very critical analysis, the logical reasoning, analytical capability of an individual, and then the aptitude of a law student, and everything they are giving focus. Okay, in this national education policy, and then the discussion, the debate, and then the research and innovation, as I told, and even this initiative, this event itself is a good example for the things, the ideas which are proposed in the national education policy relevant to the professional education. So professional education is also mean the legal education. So other perspectives, what I feel is the multidisciplinary, the holistic approach. What are the multidisciplinary holistic approach? The vocational education skills, the skills, and then soft skills, and then various other areas, specialization, and then the practical aspects. The practical learning is very, very important. In the legal education also, I will say very clear, the legal academics, the legal education is entirely different from the practice. You all know very well, all the law students, you know very well, the practice is different, legal education is different. I say the practice and the legal education, what they are acquiring in the legal education, it must also give some practical learning to the students. The practical oriented, the court procedures, the court practice, how they have to start their career, what are the challenges, what are the new areas have to be explored. These kind of an acquiring of knowledge they must do in the law school itself. That's the reason I am suggesting in this open forum, the bench and the bar and the law school relationship has to be strengthened in the upcoming days with the adoption of technology. So another areas what they are suggesting in this national education policies is the research oriented learning, that is very important, and then the different field exploration, different field. If you are law students, you should not confine yourself to law. You have to explore medical jurisprudence, you have to explore the science, you have to explore the cyber law, you have to explore the sports law, you have to explore etc., etc., various areas, marine law, maritime law, admiralty law, etc., etc., new innovation, you have to learn everything, environmental law, etc., etc., new upcoming technologies, cloud computing, etc., etc., everything, data analytics, and then artificial intelligence. You have to explore all these areas and you have to train yourself and connect them with the law. That will come from this multidisciplinary holistic approach. And then what I feel, these are the suggestions and then these are the proposed views of the national education policy pertaining to the professional education. So next point, what I feel where they missed, these are the things I suggest in the open forum. These are the things they missed. We have to compete globally. That is very, very important. The law, legal education, all our faculties, professors, they have to train themselves to compete globally. That is very, very important. So I say they have all the capability, they have all the potential power. If they think they will be able to compete, so that will be possible only through research and then the innovation and the adoption of technology. That is very, very important to the faculties. And then adopting best practices, new practices. Even you can do the new practices. How it is possible? The government, the state has to invest and then they have to spend more on the research and development. Then only that is possible. So that's the reason I am suggesting we have to give more importance to the research and development. That is very, very important. So funding, the government, state government, the central government, they have to give more funding for the research and innovation to the law schools. That is very, very important. And then another area is the embracing new technologies, the investment, the funding the government has to do for new technology adoption in the law schools in India. That is very important. And then wide range of discussion, wider access, and then timely delivery of justice. Now I want to state an important point. The students must be strong in their professional ethics, the academic standards and the advocate standards, and then their other perspectives like the timely delivery of justice, speedy justice, constitutional principles of justice, and then the professional oriented areas, the principles of jurisprudence, they must be very, very thorough. And these areas are very, very important for them. So these are the important areas, and then keeping in mind the instrumentation of the democracy. What is our democratic setup? The rule of law, the human rights, etc., etc. Value-based learning is also very, very important. And another thing I want to say, the bilingual learning and the bilingual legal education is very, very important. In the state of Tamil Nadu, the law students, even in the various states across India, they have to learn the law with English and then the state language. For example, in Tamil Nadu, legal education, it may be government law school, it may be a law school, it may be a government law college, it may be a Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law School of Excellence Law. These students, they have to learn the legal education in Tamil and then the English. So that's the reason we have to bring the bilingual education. That is also very, very important. And the evidence-based manner learning, and then the principles of justice, principles of jurisprudence, everything they have to be thorough, and then they have to give such a kind of a practical learning. I'm not suggesting rote memory, reproducing in the examinations and writing the exam papers and then securing marks is no way it's going to help you. The practical learning, the practical observations you have to do in the field, That is very, very important. This is the thing I feel they have left out. And then another thing, what I feel is the vocational education skills, the law students have to be trained. For example, typewriting, the shorthand, and then office management, Microsoft Excel, and then Microsoft Word, and then Microsoft Access, and etc., etc. All these kind of technical education also is very important, which has to be correlated with the legal education. And then I always see some kind of things. The technology adoption among the law students is very poor. Only 24% of law students in India has access towards Androids, computers, and then the technology, and then the internet connections. So it is very, very pathetic. And then I want to say another thing, the new LLM programs, the research programs. I want to appreciate in this point the government law college Villupuram, because all over India, even in the South India, many law schools, they don't have LLM in cyber law, cyber security and information technology, but GLC Villupuram is providing that. I want to appreciate it. And we have to give more importance to sports law, and then various new areas we have to explore. And then another thing, the training to the judges and the training to the law officers and then the judicial officers and the legal officers as they pursue the legal education, as they clear some examinations and becoming judges based on the seniority, based on the collegium selection, it is not going to make them as the legal luminary or something. They have to constantly put under training. They have to constantly put under a lot of technological adoption, and then they have to put under a lot of training. So many of the judges, even I say very clear, they don't have more ideas about cyber law, sports law, these new areas. Every time the training has to be done, they have to be groomed up, they have to be trained in such a way that they are able to face the new challenges. Because everybody, lawyer is a learner till he dies. If he thinks he is learned, the lawyer inside him will die. That is very, very important. So the lawyer is the learner. So you have to keep your mind in such a way, even judges, even the advocates, even the professors, the faculties, everybody, they must keep their mind in such a way. And they have to constantly keep on exploring. Every day you must keep yourself as a learner, and you have to explore. That is very important. So I have suggested all those things. And then the another areas which I have to cover in this perspective is the spiritual learning. That is very, very important. All the spiritual learning, and then all the perspective of moral value education is also very much important. It must be tied up with legal education. So in this perspective, I have covered all the areas, and very, very short kind of a proposal, very, very short, the perspectives, the national education policy exposed on the professional education. We can also take into consideration the professional education as a legal education.
Kindly conclude.
Yeah, I'm going to conclude now. So right now, what I feel is the Bar Council of India, the Bar Council of States, they have to take a stringent actions on some law institutions which is not at all providing good education opportunities or the standard legal education to the people. For example, I'm openly telling, in Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh, many law schools, they are paying the amount and they're getting the degree, and then they are doing all the nonsense and indulging in all the Gangaru courts and unnecessary activities in the profession, and they're ruining the legal education. So these kind of things has to be scrutinized and annihilated, and the legal education must reach to a greater level. So in such a way, I conclude my statement that the legal education of India has all the capability to compete globally when the research, innovation, and technology adoption happens in a rapid speed. This is my conclusion. And finally, I want to thank the GLC Villupuram for taking these kind of initiatives, these kind of events, these kind of an international virtual seminar. And I also want to congratulate here the Chennai Law College, the Ambedkar Law College in Pudupakam and Pattarai Perumbudur. They also organized all the events, international events in this time of pandemic. And this is really has to be appreciated. You all are setting examples for taking the legal education to innovation. So thank you so much. Finally, I conclude with one Tirukural. I'm going to conclude now. ஒருமைக்கண் தான் கற்ற கல்வி ஒருவருக்கு எழுமையும் ஏம புடைத்து. In this Kural, Thiruvalluvar says very clear, a person is acquiring education in his lifetime. If he is going to teach the education to another, then that person yielding his education to seven birth. So in such a way, the national education policy, 34 years before there was one policy, and now we have another policy. In the future generations, the legal luminaries who is going to come from future, they have to put up lot of new educational ideas, and in the upcoming days, this kind of an innovation, technology, research was only going to help the legal education, nothing else. Thank you so much for the great opportunity. Thank you.